Hey everybody, Raffy here. I just want to let you know that this week's episode was recorded straight off my laptop and without my regular microphone, so the sound is going to be a little different. I hope you enjoy it. Here we go.
Studio Blue Radio is proud to present Raffa Music Show by Raffaela Madaffari.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Raffa Music Show here on Studio Blue Radio. I'm Raffy, and today I have a very special guest all the way from Madison, Wisconsin, Samtar. Hello, Samtar.
Howdy, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I am fantastic, thank you.
Awesome. So, what made you start just your whole musical journey? Was it just something you played around with as a child and it grew into more of a passion, or like how did you get started?
How did it really get started? I mean, if I go all the way back, I started singing in my parents' car, which is probably what every kid does. So I wouldn't really count that as super relevant, but I kind of played a little bit around on guitar when I was, I think, like 12 and 13. I was pretty bad, as every beginner usually is. And then my parents kind of just pushed me to keep doing it, which actually at the time I wasn't very appreciative of. But then after sticking with it for like probably 3 years, I started to be like, okay, I'm actually getting pretty good at this. And then around that time, I started to meet some people that were like into metal and stuff. And then I was like, holy crap, like you can do some really crazy stuff with the guitar. And then I got a little more serious, and then, I don't know, it just kind of like snowballed. It's just like, it started off very just kind of messing around, and then the more I delved into it, the more I realized like how much I loved it, and how much more seriously I wanted to take it. And also around that time when I was discovering metal music, I also discovered bands that used like really intense vocals. Like Sonata Arctica, the vocalist has just this really expansive range and a very powerful voice. And so I started to get really obsessed with the idea of like expanding your range and like the tone of the voice, basically just obsessing about like how to be a good vocalist. So then I took some voice lessons, and just really worked on my voice and kind of songwriting in general. And yeah, I obsessed with that for the rest of my life. And it was always the main focus while I did just kind of these dead-end jobs. And I would work, at like a restaurant one, and I would just be like, go home and play music until like I go to sleep, and just trying to fill as much of my day with music and like constantly thinking about music, like, how am I going to play more music? It was like music was my drug.
Right.
Not to say that, there weren't others along the way.
It's called inspiration.
Yeah, no, but I was just like, I have always just been like super driven by it, and like I've just always needed it to be the focal point of like my day and my life and like kind of my meaning. And not to sound like super pretentious or anything, but like, I don't know, that's just what it is for me. And then when there were like the lockdowns, that was the first opportunity I had to actually like focus on it full time.
Right.
So then I focused on it full time, and I was like, wow, I really could just do this all day, every day, and I wouldn't get sick of music. I would be able to justify all the time I'm spending on it, which was kind of a fear for a long time, was like, if I quit one of these jobs, like, what if I don't spend enough time on music and I'm just like a lazy piece of shit?
Right.
And I was able to actually spend my time wisely, and like, I don't know. So I just stuck with that, and like now I don't make very much money because, music isn't super lucrative, but I'm 1,000 times more happy, and like, that's just what I do now. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, considering that you started taking it more seriously during the lockdown, like, you've released 3 albums since then. Yeah. And it's only been barely 2 years. So that's pretty impressive, especially since you have this new music you're coming out with, which we'll get into later. Mm-hmm. But did you like play in any bands at all, or were you strictly a soloist?
Yeah, I played in a few bands. I played in one band in high school, and then like one other sort of jam band with like a friend, and then I played in two more kind of serious bands. None of them ended up touring. None of them did anything very significant. So like, yeah, I played in bands, but none of them really led anywhere. It always felt like I was the only one taking anything very seriously.
Right.
Which can be a little toxic, I will admit. But at the same time, they were taking it so not seriously that it's just like we didn't do anything. We hung out and like we dabbled a little bit. And it's like, guys, I have like hundreds of songs that like I need to work on with people.
Yeah, so, absolutely. So now you do everything yourself?
Yes. However, I did just recently start to employ the work of my bassist friend a little bit. Mm-hmm. He did the bass on a few upcoming songs that we'll hear further down the road. Just because like I wrote some really challenging parts. He's a good friend of mine, and like I could have learned it myself over time, but like he wanted something to do. He just wanted to play, and I was like, "Hey man, you're way better bassist than I'll ever be."
Yeah.
And yeah, he did that, and like honestly, the bass sticks out in those songs so much more than like any other song. So like I'm kind of loosely thinking about, I'm trying to incorporate him more, but like I have a little bit of like narcissism going on where like I want it to be all me, only because like I've done it up until this point that I'm like, well, maybe I should just, I don't know, but I do want to bring more people on. I think it'll keep things more fresh, and it'll be a little more exciting that way. And there's only so much one person can do.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have like an in-home studio where you record everything?
Yep.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's in my basement, and I've got like, pretty dang nice setup here, honestly. I've laid carpets all along the wall, and it's been a long journey of learning about that too, because like going into this, when I did my first album, that one, like I didn't know the first thing about mixing. Even the second album, I still like kind of didn't know very much. Third album, I started to learn more and take it a little more seriously. Fourth album, which is the acoustic one, I mean, now I'm at a point where I start to take it more seriously, but also try to approach it still like artistically, where it's like, you know, here are the ideas that you should approach with these quote unquote rules, but like they're not hard and fast rules, you know. It's
right
all subjective.
Absolutely. So your first album, Plotting Against Reality, came out in 2020.
Yeah.
How did it feel to finally get like just a full-length album out there and really just put your name into the music world?
Super incredible. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why the hell it took me so long, honestly, because like I have so much music that I'm sitting on. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's really a really awesome feeling. I look back on that album pretty fondly. I try to get back in the headspace sometimes, and I have to remind myself that like that was then, like this is now. Like you're not that same person. It wasn't that long ago, but like you know, we're always evolving, and it's really hard for me to move past that. And so like I get that, where like artists feel that way, where they're like, oh, never be as good as, or like I wish I could go. I don't know. There's just like a nostalgia thing there that like I can't totally shake. The stuff I've currently been working on, I feel like that's helping me shake it, because it's way better than everything else. Like, I like it way more than all my previous work. So like, I can't wait to just like get the acoustic album out of the way, because like I have another one that's like super cool. Yeah.
So to somebody who hasn't listened to your music yet, how would you describe the genre of your first 3 albums?
I feel like I would say esoteric alternative rock would be kind of a good idea, because it is like alternative rock. It's not like super complicated music, but it has this kind of ominous feel, and it's definitely more like dark and like dissonant than normal alternative rock.
Right.
I'd say the guitar solos are more metal than rock. There's a lot of metal influences in there.
Right.
But metal is pretty much the most gatekeeping genre in the universe, so it's hard to ever classify yourself as metal.
Your you have a very distinctive sound in your music. How long did it take you to come up with that? So like, for example, like I know sometimes when I'm singing, it depends on the song, I like tend to sound more like the original artist singing it. Like, how did you develop your own voice, or was it just kind of like that from the beginning?
I think I was just lucky. I think like even when I was younger and I was trying to work with bands and stuff, and I would try to sing like the artist that they were trying to kind of sound like, I actually didn't like my voice that much. Like, I was the best singer among them or whatever, like as far as just like, I guess, skill goes, but like I didn't sound like the stuff we were listening to, and so like I didn't like that at the time, and I guess at some point I just got comfortable with my own voice and I didn't try to change it. I think also there was this like period of time when I got super into like Faith No More and Mike Patton in general, and just how like expressive he is with his voice, and his voice almost sounds like too dramatic, kind of like in a Jack Black type style. And I was like, yeah, why do I have a dramatic voice? Like, that's just what it is. I shouldn't be trying to like hide that and like make it more like normal. I don't know. I just started to lean into it more. Yeah. So
nice. Sweet. So let's start talking about your new acoustic singles that you've been coming out with. So obviously it's different from your previous work. You've released 3 so far, All in Time, Perception, and then the most recent one is Lost in a Dream, which we will listen to later. What inspired this just change in sound just to go the acoustic route?
A lot of things. My ears were kind of hurting, for one, because like all the music I work on is loud. It's always distorted guitar.
Right.
I'm playing drums. It's electronic drums, but like I have to wear headphones to do it, just because like otherwise I'd have to blast my system, and it's just like,
yeah,
it's louder than I want it to be. So it's like my ears kind of hurt. I just wanted to change things up. I like to play acoustic guitar. I also I liked the idea of like almost everything being just like raw sounds, because like I have to rely on this electronic drum set so much that I wanted to be like, well, can I make like some really good sounds, and like how good can I make it sound,
right,
with just like these raw sounds? And